I wake up and I do what I love. I create art 24/7. My life, it feels like a lucid dream, really, because I get up, I do what I want, and I'm happy. I get to interact with so many beautiful people. Well, I actually started streaming on Twitch, primarily gaming. And then once I was able to afford, more camera equipment, more art supplies, I kind of drifted over to the creative section of Twitch. And that's ultimately what got me partnered here on Twitch. My art style is kind of like I guess you'd say like more surreal, more just, I guess pretty much anything that's on my mind. I normally paint things that are in my dreams or something that has like affected me deeply. And then games, I love, zombies, survival horror. I really like all of those gaming styles and FPS games as well. So I've been doing this for, oh my gosh, almost 3.5 years now on Twitch. And, I actually had to leave my full-time job because I was so ill. 5 years ago, I was bit by a tick, contracted Lyme disease, and also bacterial meningitis, all at the same time. So I was so sick, so sick in the hospital for like 2 months, and it changed my life. I could not hold a job because I would have to take so many days off because I would just be, totally incapacitated and unable to work. So I actually quit my job in November, like 3.5 years ago, and I was like, I need to do something where I'm my own boss, where I have a flexible work schedule, because I needed to figure out, what makes me happy, because my job wasn't making me happy, and I wanted to do something that affected more people and also gave me time to heal, because after I got bit, I never had time to catch up, right? So it was always this like, race against the clock type of game where I just kept, getting myself sicker and sicker. So I was seeing, all these fantastic streamers, and I just kind of was just like, man, maybe this is something that I can do. I really love gaming. And yeah, that year I just started, and I've been dependent on the kindness of strangers from around the world to support me. But just recently, of course, with the ebb and flow of, finances and economy and everything, so be it. I'm just tired of living a more unstable life, and since I have been getting healthier, I actually did recently find a new job, and I actually have to go to work later today. So when I started the whole Twitch thing, there was no, everything was, you had to do it yourself. Because obviously this was before, Twitch Labs, all kinds of like these other websites like GameWisp, and getting partnership was really difficult. And so everything I had to do myself, and I was seeking out like subscription type websites, and Patreon is something that I actually started doing like before I even started streaming. So I've been part of Patreon for a long time, which is really cool. I'm kind of like a tenured user in a sense. And so basically it was a way for me to say, hey, if you like me and you like what I'm doing, whether it be just like hanging out or anything that I'm able to do online, hang out with you, whatever, make art for you, you can pledge, X amount of dollars so that I can kind of balance my financial, responsibilities, so that I'm not, guessing at the end of the month. Because I think, we all know this, like streaming is extremely unstable, and I would not suggest anyone do what I did 3 years ago. I think now it's different. You can't really quite do that as successfully, because the pond is much larger, so to speak. Many more fish in the pond. But anyways, so basically Patreon is, in a sense, it's a way for me to have just creative, just go crazy. I can just truly be myself, because I don't have to worry about terms of service. I don't have to worry about anything like that. So of course, a lot of my Patreon content it can get pretty risque, and it's fun because I can just be the wild and crazy artist that I am, like I did, I do cosplay, of course, over there, and then I do, more of my more sensual art. I do a lot of like, nude watercolors and paintings and things like that I can't stream that on Twitch, unfortunately, because Twitch Creative, for whatever reason, has not, lifted their nudity ban, even though nudity in art is everything. I mean, the human anatomy isn't something to be afraid of or ashamed of, so I love the human body, and I've always been fascinated by it, and my body included. So I like to show that off to whoever, appreciates it as art as well, because it is art. So I use that as an alternate expression. And then I have my website, bruisesart.com, where you can buy just all my art on stuff, like laptop cases and phone cases and t-shirts and dresses and all kinds of stuff. So reality is really what we make it, right? I mean, I would say my virtual reality for the past few years has felt more real than my waking hours, like outside of tech, because I've always been a techie. If you commit to the virtual realm, it's always, and I think that's a sad part that people don't really, consciously digest when they, are communicating with streamers or devs or, anything. I mean, we don't really, it's like a disconnect. It's like we forget that they're human and we think that they're just like AI and they're just like, or an OS.
A bot.
And yeah. It's like,
this bot really creates awesome paintings. It don't work like
I know, and we forget that they like need to eat and sleep, and they have like natural needs, obviously. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
How do you handle trolls?
That has been an ongoing thing, but I honestly, I would say that I don't really deal with it. I don't deal with it anymore. I would say the beginning of my career on Twitch was kind of like the peak of like, dare I say, like forum trolls and, people that were just really rough. And so I kind of like, my start on Twitch was just from like conception was just, it was an absolute disaster, but I was very, very lucky. I want to say I was almost like saved by my moderators. There's one in particular, and I don't know if he's here. He might be asleep. But Quam, you guys, if you're here in the chat normally, like you've seen him a million times. He's here 24/7. I've depended on him for the past like 2.5 years, and he really came into my life and my channel and stuff and really just shaped the community. He allowed me to be me, and then he just completely controlled chat and took it over. And then I also obviously hired cybersecurity. This was probably about, I would say like 8 months after I initially started streaming. I had no choice because of being doxxed and being, DDoSed constantly. And, I mean, I would have, I had police called to my house. I had people order pizzas to my house that weren't paid for. Oh, it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. And, it's things that I don't like to speak about because I like to always stay positive. And I would have to say that, I had to do things and spend money and do a lot of things to protect myself, but it's made me a better person. And luckily, I feel like the internet has kind of calmed down a little bit in that sense. Like, people don't, like, I don't feel like that happens as frequently as it used to, so.
Sausage or bacon? Just kidding. I know you're vegan. But if you weren't vegan, which one would you have?
Honestly, both of them kind of like make me feel shitty afterwards, like after I eat them.
Well,
but I would have to say, bacon for sure.
Cats or dogs?
To be honest, I haven't been around cats a lot, like ever in my life. Like, I don't really know anything about cats, so I would have to say dogs.
Late nights or early mornings?
Oh God, I don't exist early morning. The only reason I'm here this early is to talk to you guys. But always, I'm up at night, 24/7, like always at night.
Pancakes or waffles?
Chicken and waffles, man, 24/7. I'll eat that every single meal. It's so good. But minus the chicken now that I'm vegan. But yeah, it's so good. Waffles.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Oh man. I would always say, I would say chocolate, like dark chocolate for sure.
French fries or onion rings?
Ah, onion rings. Onions are amazing. Sight or sound? And that's a tough one. That's a really tough one for me because I would say I'm quite an audiophile. I really really like music, and I think music fuels me in so many different senses, like artistically and you know, in different in different depths that yeah, as a human. So it's hard, but I would have to say sight. I'd have to keep my sight, if anything.
So since you do cosplay,
Hmm.
who are your favorite characters or people to be?
That's a good question. I haven't done a ton of cosplay. It's been something that's been kind of like new for me within, you know, 2017. I would say so far I did like the sexy Darth Vader cosplay. That was really fun. I felt like I really got into character. And I would say the other kind of like artistic, like photography cosplay, I guess you could say, has been just the ones where I've just been able to like paint my skin, whether it be with makeup or paint or, you know, just totally transform myself. I've done a few things that I haven't quite released yet, that I really love. I can't talk about it yet because it's content for next month for Patreon. But but I just love it. Anything that can merge all of my creativity.